Program complete. Enter when ready.
I thought about just being on here like just shirtless, just sitting here. Like nothing was weird at all.
Huh. With a rapier.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's what was the big joke from last week from the last time we did it was I said next week's episode is going to be the naked time, and you went, "Oh my!" And I said, "Yeah, more than you know, but more than you know."
Why? Because in the picture, like preview, it shows like Sulu, like shirtless
Yeah,
with the sword. And
yeah, yeah,
it's like the one thing I know about like Sulu is like
yeah,
later years.
yeah.
Oh my.
Risk. Risk is our business. Out there. That way.
What happened?
Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
Rock and roll! 6.
We're not afraid of diversity. We don't persecute it, we embrace it.
At least I won't die alone. Join our Federation of Planets. And reach for the stars.
Those were the days.
It's time to get nugget.
Welcome back to another Trek review. This is a podcast where we weekly discuss Star Trek. And this week we are discussing episode 4 of Star Trek, the original series. But to us, it's episode 6 because we're watching it in production order. So the episode we are talking about today specifically is The Naked Time. It originally aired September 29th, 1966. It was written by John D.F. Black and directed by Mark Daniels. The synopsis for The Naked Time is the Enterprise crew is intoxicated by an inhibition-stripping contagion that causes mayhem throughout the ship. So before we go through and do a full recap, let's ask Caleb what he thought of the episode.
I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun. I always like when something bad happens on board and they have to figure it out, and they're like slowly figuring it out, and then more people are getting like taken over or sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of enjoy that stuff. So yeah, I think that's fun. It's always fun when there's like something on board that's like bad.
Yeah.
And even Spock's not immune to this,
Nope.
which is pretty interesting.
There's a lot there to unpack.
It's either
Yeah.
because it's such a strong virus thing or just early Spock wasn't written to be like that.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little
Yeah.
bit of both.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That was like my first thought was like, oh, so early Vulcans didn't have they didn't write them like in a way where they're like, oh, that doesn't affect me. I'm Vulcan. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I always enjoy seeing Spock's like human side, so that's why I liked a lot of this episode.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely
I can't, Jim. I can't. It's
Yeah,
never been done.
they
It's never.
definitely use Spock, like the Vulcan physiology, as like a thing
Yeah.
to either help the plot or like just continue the plot. It's like I don't think that they ever really sat down. I think basically every episode they would write, okay, blah blah blah, and they're like, well, how do we make sure this doesn't happen? You're like, okay, well, Spock's affected. You're like, okay, great, and then they move on. And so then once they're like, well, the Enterprise can get taken over because Spock is incapacitated by X thing, it then
Yeah.
becomes canon and like lore that like, well, Vulcans can't withstand this type of whatever. I think that's
Right.
just how the
Right.
writers were. It wasn't until later that people like for next gen and the movies and stuff like looked back and were like, oh well, clearly this is how Vulcans act. This is what they do. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, they're just writing a TV show. Star Trek is nothing. It's just you know what I mean. It's just a way to
Yeah.
get
Right.
money and write an interesting, get an interesting show out there.
They have to
Now,
remind the audience every week that Spock is an alien.
correct. Oh,
Like, I'm an alien.
I am an alien.
So if like new viewers, like if every episode is like your first episode, like you have to
Exactly.
know like Spock's an alien.
Yeah, and so that's part of the thing that you notice is like um you could literally just like watch this and have you don't need to have seen the other episodes. It's
Yeah,
very
right.
like capsule, like it's just like here is Star Trek. Watch an episode. Oh, I understand what Star Trek is.
Yeah. That's why I like Enterprise got a lot of like slack in the
Oh,
later seasons.
yeah, when they made it very serialized. Yeah. So
Oh,
the question that I know maybe a couple are having out there. So why this episode? Because we're jumping around. We're not watching every single episode that was put out. I'm picking and choosing for Caleb. So the other two that are on the channel that we talked about. One is the first thing they ever filmed, which I felt like was important to watch, for Caleb to understand. And then the second one is the first thing ever aired on television. So I just felt like those two um, episodes were just more like introductory to Star Trek and basically get your kind of your feet wet into what old original series like 1960s Star Trek is like. But now going forward, every episode after that is going to be purposeful. It's either going to be something that uh, is again like explored in the future, or something that has already happened in the past that they talked about.
oh.
They're going to be episodes that are meaningful to Star Trek in general, and the ones
And
that
this
we skip.
one must be important because of the time travel at the end.
That is a big component of it, but there is another really, really very obvious thing, and
Mm.
in a while we'll get to it. But yeah, you'll understand when we get there.
Yeah, it's time travel.
Time travel is a part of it. It's definitely a part of it.
It's Spock
So
crying.
so I'm sure there's people out there that understand why we're watching this episode, but until we get there, okay, we'll just have to wait. So the teaser for the Naked Time is the USS Enterprise orbits the planet Psi 2000, a world that, much like Earth, in its distant past, tasked to observe the planet's impending disintegration. Lieutenant Commander Spock and Lieutenant Junior Grade Joe Tormelin beam down in environmental suits to a frozen surface laboratory and investigate the horrific deaths of the lab scientists. Carefully, Tormelin removes a glove of his suit to better scratch his nose, unknowingly exposing himself to a red, blood-like liquid substance leaping to his exposed hand from a frozen wall. Spock contacts the Enterprise and informs Captain Kirk that all of the station's personnel are dead. Kirk asks what caused it, and Spock replies, "Unknown, Captain. It's like nothing we've dealt with before."
Yeah, what an idiot.
Yeah.
What a rookie move.
I like that. I really was trying to pay attention because I knew he took his glove off, and I was really trying to see like what acting decisions and writing decisions there were. And you could see
Yeah.
him; he's like trying to like not like itch his nose without doing it, and he's trying to like
Yeah.
just move his face, and he's like, "All right, I gotta get this glove off."
Also, again, I know the show is like filmed in the 60s, but those hazmat suits are pretty bad.
Oh,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah, awesome, yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, they're really
yeah,
like the whole bottom is just open.
yeah,
So every time they
yeah,
move, it's just like
yeah.
that. Even if the planet was surrounded by like bees, you'd be in bad. You'd be in bad shape. Let alone like an airborne like sickness.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the material though. I like that. Like
How it looked. It definitely looks
it's
good
cool.
on
Yeah.
camera. Yeah. The really funny thing too is like um everything just it looks so uncomfortable
Yeah.
for the actors because it doesn't look like something that just went over. It looks like dishwashing gloves like material, like that kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
rubbery vinyl.
The old
So,
style.
so he's like, get this glove off.
Surprised a
Yeah,
bunch of like sweat didn't come out of it.
true. Did you get the Thing vibes when you saw the frozen
Yeah.
people? Yeah,
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that
very
stuff was
cool.
cool. The like frozen planet and like all that stuff was cool. The
Did
thing
you
I thought
enjoy
was
the?
funny is they
Yeah.
keep coming back to like, oh, and this guy was taking a shower and he froze to death. It's like, oh, okay. Like he didn't
with
even
his
care about anything.
with his clothes on.
Spock's like, what is a shower? I one of you another human bathing rituals.
Yeah, the one that also made me laugh was the scene where they go into the other room next to like wherever they beam down, like the lab, and
Yeah.
it's just so very clearly a mannequin like on the
Uh-huh.
floor, and they're just like, oh,
Mm.
she's dead. She didn't make
Frozen
it.
stiff.
I was like, oh boy, it
It was
just made me laugh.
so lifelike. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
If we watched this original series on like an old like tube TV,
Ooh.
would we be like, this is really good?
If we watched it in an old tube television and then sat like 20 feet away from it, like, oh my God, look at
And we put in like a microwave dinner,
yeah.
we could be like, we're in the 60s. This
Is
is so
that
good.
is that what we're gonna do for the
I,
series finale?
I don't see why not. uh,
I see no problems with this.
I see no issues doing this.
The landing party returns to decontamination on the transporter pad and undergo further examination and clearance by Dr. McCoy. Tormalin's sudden anguish over the surface deaths, something that didn't faze him previously, is brushed off with an order by Captain Kirk for him to rest.
You don't get it. The frozen man, the frozen. Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in the shower with his clothes on, man.
Oh, why is it on my hair?
Oh.
Captain Kirk and his senior officers discussed the possible causes of the madness displayed on the surface in the briefing room. Concerned about the planet's breakup and the crew efficiency needed to maintain a tricky orbit for their observations. Kirk asks if the surface tragedy could happen aboard the Enterprise. Spock admits to limitations in their scanning technology, as space still contains infinite unknowns. But Scott is confident in his engines as long as the bridge crew stays sane. Early stages of the planet's destruction begin. So I like how they're just like, oh, it's shrinking. It's just shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's collapsing. And then there's just scenes, and it's just the planet's just spinning faster instead of like like nothing's happening. It's just like, okay, all right.
Yeah. They're
Don't
like,
worry.
oh no, we're getting pulled to the surface, and it just looked like they just kept like flying around the atmosphere. Like, oh, okay.
But another thing that you like, where they all sit around and they discuss what's wrong with everybody, what's going on.
And they don't find anything out.
Nothing.
My favorite part, honestly, is when like Kirk starts like grabbing people off their workstations and like throwing them out of the bridge.
Yeah, later on the bridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
He's like they're doing their job, and then they're just like yeah, Kirk's like, get him out of here. Get him out of here.
All right, Tourmaline, aggravated by his hand and sweating, sits in the Enterprise recreation room, getting something to eat from the food synthesizer. Entering in a jovial mood, Lieutenant Sulu tries to sell Lieutenant Kevin Riley on the virtues of fencing after previously trying to interest the Enterprise navigator on botany. An effort to bring Tourmaline into the conversation triggers a hysterical response. Tourmaline brandishes his table knife and rants about the futility of life in space. He says, "What are we doing out here in space? Good? What good? We're polluting it, destroying it." His mood quickly turns to despair, and he turns the knife on himself. Sulu and Riley try to wrestle it away unsuccessfully as Tourmaline falls and impales himself. Riley runs over to the room's intercom, calling for medical assistance, and he begins to sweat on his hands profusely.
Oh no. Yeah, he got stabbed with a butter knife.
He was like, "Oh, not this butter knife." And then when the butter knife got him, right, he was like, somebody scribbled crayon all over me.
Oh, yeah. Where'd all this hot wax come from? Yeah. That's pretty good. I did enjoy that though. So it's a fun like introduction to like Sulu, and
yeah,
like he just walks in the room like, no, you have to do fencing. Fencing is very good. Even like later on when he's like, he's working on the bridge and he's like, I'm gonna go work out, and the guy's like, you can't go work out. He's like, no, come out, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I was like, oh my god. Oh wow. Oh wow. That's kind of what I like too, is like when there's I think even Enterprise did a couple episodes where like there's a sickness thing going on, and it's like, oh, this is how these characters really are, like deep down. This is like they're like raw.
Oh. Yeah,
like emotions are like
the Singularity episode where they all get like hyper fixated on stuff.
Yeah. I like that stuff.
This guy, I like that Lieutenant Riley like brings up botany to Sulu, because like the previous episode, like Sulu was in the lab with the hand plant thing.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that pretty good. That was I
enjoy that.
It's nice that I called back to it.
Like every month, Sulu's trying to get crew mates to do like different stuff. Like, oh, you should really take up like botany.
Sounds like he's just lonely and bored, and he wants somebody else to do stuff with him. It's like, please.
Because he's like the only person on the ship that cares about like botany.
The thing that I liked about the scene too that made me laugh. It made me laugh, but then but not like in a this is stupid, more of in like nervous laughter is when he has like the knife and he's like no, and then they're like hey it's okay Joe, like it's all right, it's okay, and he's like no, we're the problem, and then he turns the knife the other way and it's like oh like this is getting serious real fast.
That's really funny. Yeah, I know. Whenever that stuff happens in like TV shows and movies, it's like you're threatening the other person, and they're like, "No, you don't get it. I'm going to do it to me." And then everyone's like, "No, no." This is like in that situation, I just be like, "Oh, thank God." Ooh, that
Oh,
was close.
phew. I thought he was going to stab me.
Yeah, I thought I was going.
Here comes your tie-in to Star Wars. You ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
McCoy and Nurse Chapel fail to save Tormolen's life despite the fact that his wounds were not that severe, leaving a confounded McCoy to speculate his patient had simply lost his will to live. You're
You
breaking my
turned,
heart.
you turned him against me.
Yeah.
You have done that yourself.
If you're not with me,
Then you're
then
my
you.
enemy.
I like how both episodes now, McCoy. I know he's not a bad doctor, but I like how both
Yeah.
episodes now
He's
the
like,
salt.
nothing I can do.
Yeah. Well, but like the salt monster thing, he's like
Uh,
he should be getting up and walking around, and in this episode, he's like his wounds weren't that severe, like he should be walking around. He's fine. Like clearly, he's not, Doc.
yeah.
Clearly not.
Yeah, maybe there's something else going on that you can't, see with medical devices. It's like,
Must have been that terrible frost down on the planet just killing everyone.
was it like too cold down there?
Just like in Bengo with the Gorn.
Yeah, I know, because
Oh.
every time Kirk comes in to check in on the
Yeah.
patient, Corey's like, he's dead. I don't know. I don't know why. He's
I
like,
don't
what am I paying you for?
know. Where's Dr. Piper? I want him back.
Where's Mbanga?
Yeah. Psi 2000's breakup accelerates and the crew follows. Sulu and Riley, now at their helm and navigation consoles and showing signs of infection, are slow in making a necessary orbital correction. Sulu abandons the helm in favor of some exercise to take the edge off, encouraging Riley to join him. Riley remains, but soon becomes flamboyantly insubordinate to Spock, sporting an exaggerated Irish brogue. Reporting briefly to sickbay as ordered, Riley learns of the death of Tormolen from Nurse Chapel and attributes his friend's bad luck to the fact that he wasn't born an Irishman. Riley then proceeds to flirt with Nurse Chapel, touching her face and infecting her. Sulu, now fantasizing himself as a musketeer, stalks the corridors with a foil and frightens off two crewmen. Deeper in delusion, he returns to the bridge and takes Uhura, declaring her a fair maiden, despite her protest that she was neither. Under his protection, before Kirk jumps him from behind and Spock subdues him with a Vulcan nerve punch. A lot to unpack. So, yeah, like you said, he was just like, come on, come on.
I'm gonna go look at take the edge. I was like, the ship is on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all right.
Doesn't that make you want to relieve stress? Like, no,
Yep.
no,
No, it doesn't.
no. It makes me want to get out of the situation.
Yeah, so here's your Nurse Chapel.
Mm-hmm.
She accelerated. She lost all of her tattoos. She's
Yeah.
older. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Never talked to Spock before.
Nope. So the thing that we discussed in person but didn't discuss on here is that
Oh.
Majel Barrett who plays Nurse Chapel, also played number one in The Cage.
Yeah, I know that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
recognized her, but I didn't pick up on that fact.
yeah, well, as Nurse Chapel, she had short blonde hair that was like put up, and in The Cage, she has like long shoulder length black hair. So,
Yeah.
but this is Gene Roddenberry's wife, so
Uh-huh.
here she is in the show. So.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And she's also I can't remember. I'm sure I'm wrong, but if there I can't remember if there's been any computer talking back to Kirk yet, but she's also the voice of the Enterprise computer.
Oh, yeah, I don't think so.
Computing, things like that.
That's super
You know.
funny.
Yeah. She does a really good job.
Did they even address her as Nurse Chapel in this episode? I don't think so. I don't remember her even having a name yet.
I think he said and when McCoy's doing the surgery on Tourmaline, I think he says Nurse Chapel. I think so. I don't remember though.
He always addresses her as nurse.
He definitely does, yeah. But the funny thing is that I read about was a thing where I think it was on this actually, where they talk about why did Sulu George Takei, why did he use like a fencing thing?
Mm-hmm.
So it says director Mark Daniels visited George in his trailer and asked him to take off his shirt. After observing his bare chest, Mark yeah, Mark announced that they would do the fencing scenes shirtless. Unknown to him and the rest of the cast and crew, George spent all of his free time in the next 3 days doing push ups. And then the writer, John D.F. Black, came up with Sulu's berserk scene without specifying the weapon to be used. Unable to decide between a samurai sword or a fencing foil, he left the choice to George. George picked the latter. He reasoned that by the 23rd century, humans would have developed to a point where they would choose their cultural artifacts based on personal preference rather than ethnic background.
Wow.
And then he says George says he had fun acting in this episode and took his fencing very seriously, avidly practicing his technique on the set and working out to define his chest muscles for his memorable scene in the corridor.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the thing I like about it, besides, the 60s writers being a smidge bit racist to be like, well, he's Japanese, so here he wants a samurai sword. I like the fact that
Well,
he
yeah,
has
yeah.
he has he picked the fencing foil to be like, oh well, why not type of thing, and I liked it. So that was more of his decision than the writers.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's cool that he picked that and he actually reasoned that, like, oh, well, in the future, it's based on like personal preference.
Right.
Because I mean, that is a thing, right? Where like samurai swords are like family heirlooms.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Like it's not outlandish to think that the man would have connection to his heritage, but at the same time, it's like
Yeah.
he doesn't have to.
Right.
So the other thing that was really funny was him doing the Irish brogue on the bridge, and then Spock being like, "No, we're
Yeah.
not having this."
He didn't do a very good Irish.
Mm-mm.
Like he didn't go full Scotty, you know, he didn't go full Scottish.
Nope, that's true.
And then when he starts singing, my God.
Everyone's like, "My God."
I felt like everybody on the bridge,
Yeah.
right? Because Kirk's just like, make it stop. All right, I'm gonna sing it again. Like, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That'll be funny when we get there. The other thing too that was good was that part where like Sulu comes around the thing and he's like and he's like with the sword or the foil and he comes around the thing and then the two crewmen are like, oh, like
Yeah.
why what's going on?
Like, what is
And then
this?
he's like, hmm.
Oh,
They're
yes.
like, do
Well
you want
fought. They're
yeah,
like, what are
it's
you
like
doing? And he comes after me, like hits him, and they're like, no, no.
yeah, exactly.
I guess
Yeah.
these, I guess these quantum pipes up here are going to be adjusted. We just came up here to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
all
did.
day long. And then he comes. I like when he comes back to the bridge, and he's like, "Ah, a fair maiden." He takes her, and she's like, "I'm not a fair maiden." And then
Uh, uh,
he doesn't want Kirk and Spock to take her away from him.
yeah, Spock just immediately takes him out.
The planet convulses, but the helm is unable to respond. A call to engineering is answered by Captain Kevin Thomas Riley, who has
Oh no.
expelled Scott and crew and begun the ship-wide broadcast of a one-man musical/comedy show, including a very off-key version of "I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen," to the great annoyance of Kirk and Uhura, who are unable to turn off the broadcast. Without power, the Enterprise is 20 minutes from destruction, and the affliction continues to spread through the crew.
Yeah, they love it.
Oh, Kathleen.
If you think I could have turned it off, don't you think I would have turned it off? You stupid idiot.
I'll take you home again, Kathleen.
Oh, it's so bad.
I've watched
So
them fade away and die. Yep.
well, my favorite too is like this episode you get to see, like you're saying, like with Dr. McCoy. Like every time Dr.
Hmm.
McCoy shows up, he's like, he's dead. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And now this it seems they show up and they're like, Scotty, why is nobody in the engine room? And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know. He said, oh, I need to go in the engine room, and he went in the engine room, and then he locked us out. It's like, what? Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why did you let him in? And why did you all leave? Like, what are you talking about?
He just kept singing so off key. They were like, oh, we got to get out of
Oh
here.
no, no.
It's a good point. Like, why would you leave? Why would
Why
you?
is everybody being terrible at their jobs today? Today of all days.
Okay, Spock tours the ship, urging Scott to hurry in retaking engineering, observing the madness of crewmen, and checking on McCoy's progress. Chapel is emboldened, confessing her love for Spock and infecting him with the touch of her hand. Affecting him quickly, he insistently blurts, I am in control of my emotions. Ignoring repeated hails from Uhura, Spock begins losing composure in the corridors. A crewman writes "Love Mankind" in the red paint on a door, not helping him at all, and secludes himself in the briefing room, trying to regain control by stating his duty and counting by twos before he suffers a complete loss of his emotional control. Okay, so you're not there yet in season two.
No.
So they do something in season two that nobody likes. And
Okay.
then you have what you saw in season one and a little bit of season two. And then you have this episode in this scene.
Yeah.
And I always think to myself, isn't it weird that she's like confessing her love for him and how much she cares and loves and she wants to be with him. And it sounds like she's never said it to him before.
Yeah.
Like it's something that's like her inhibition is stripped. So she's saying her inner thoughts to him and he's hearing it for the first time. But then if you watch Strange New Worlds, you're like, well, she's already talked about this. Like this is already a beat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting thing that why the Strange New Worlds people would go so hard into like their relationship.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it because I have come to terms that it's a slightly off the track timeline.
Yeah.
But like they're not saying that, and so you're supposed to believe that however Chapel is in Strange New Worlds, like this makes sense. Like it connects.
Yeah. I know. That's interesting. It's interesting that they do all this stuff in Strange New Worlds. It's like drastically like
Hmm.
already has like consequences. And
Right.
they're like, oh no, it's the same timeline. It's like, well, it's clearly not.
Right. Exactly.
So you're supposed to just accept it, I guess. I don't know. Like, maybe Spock hits his head in the end of season 6 or something of Strange New Worlds,
Yeah,
or
right. Oh,
they get their minds wiped. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know either.
Or maybe Spock is just so dense that he doesn't even know Chapel is likes him. He literally thinks that she's just like his friend for now. But then like moving forward now in the original series, like they haven't been friends. Like they don't even talk to each other. It's like,
It's possible. It's very possible.
told you those
Yeah.
6 years, those 5 years, they change people.
I think from what I read too, I think Spock going into the like briefing room and having like his mental breakdown. I think Leonard Nimoy did that in like one take because he like
Wow,
wasn't feeling good or somebody was sick or something. So he did it like in one take.
that's impressive. Kind of felt like one like shot, you know.
Yeah. According to Nimoy's autobiography, I Am Spock, the scene where Spock breaks down in tears was originally supposed to have been a simple sight gag of a crewman painting a mustache on Spock. Nimoy wanted
What?
a deep, yeah. So originally it was just going to be, um, he was going to cry because somebody painted a mustache on him. Apparently, Nimoy wanted a deeper scene for Spock and one that preserved his dignity. So he talked to the writer John D.F. Black about it. And the writer was already working on the next script and brushed Nimoy off. So Nimoy went to Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry
Oh
agreed
man.
with Nimoy, so the writer grudgingly asked Nimoy what he had in mind. According to Nimoy's autobiography, he said to Black, "It's about emotion versus logic, love versus mathematics, grief versus pi r squared." Nimoy goes on to say in I Am Spock, based on that bit of information, the writer went back and wrote the marvelous scene for Spock that now appears in The Naked Time. As the production day was winding down, there was time for only a single take, but Nimoy nailed it on the first take. Nimoy described the production of the scene at length in Star Trek Lives. So,
Wow, that's cool. I
so
like
it's like
when
you,
actors really like their character and they like fight for
oh
they say
yeah,
like, oh, this my character wouldn't do this.
oh yeah.
And the
That's
show
the
always is better.
that's the great thing. As much as like Shatner has kind of given throughout, like there was a brief time, like 15, 20 years where Shatner kind of like crapped on Star Trek and kind of didn't made fun of the fans and stuff like that. But the thing
Yeah.
that I always appreciated was specifically the three of them, McCoy, Spock, and Kirk. Those actors, DeForest Kelly, Leonard Nimoy, and William Shatner,
Mm,
they always were like, "Oh yeah, we'll show up in we'll make cameos, we'll be in movies, we'll do stuff." But listen, like we're not just going to do it if it doesn't make sense. Like I don't care how much you're going to pay me, what you're going to do. Like
yeah.
if you're having me involved, I care about this character and what he says and what he does and how he behaves. So it's like as much as some of the comments that they've all made, at the same time they actually do care about their
Yeah.
performance and like the character of their the character that they're acting.
Yeah, I know that's cool.
Kirk, Scott, and two security officers recapture engineering, and Riley is taken away by security. But Scott discovers Riley has shut the engines down completely. A normal restart requires at least 30 minutes. The Enterprise, now skimming Psi 2000's upper atmosphere, only has 8 to spare. I can't change the laws of physics. I've got to have 30 minutes, Scott declares to Kirk. Yeah. I guess in the original aired thing, when Scotty is holding the phaser at the wall and he's like cutting
Yeah.
the thing, I guess there was no like beam to the wall. He just was pointing the gun and like the wall was just cutting. So I guess now in the remaster, they put the phaser beam there, so it looks like he's actually cutting the wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so funny. There's a lot of things like that I don't even like pick up on, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because like if I haven't seen like the original aired version, like you wouldn't really
No.
pick up on
Yeah,
that.
look,
I just assume.
most of the planet, like anything that like the planet stuff, the ship, like the exterior ship stuff, like that's all remastered.
Yeah.
Most of it, except for like the effects, is all they just went back and just like made the film, like the color of the film, like look nicer.
Yeah.
So the thing that's what I like about it is, not to make fun of them and not to get onto another tangent, but like that's the thing I like about the remastered of the original series and Star Trek: The Next Generation is they didn't do what George Lucas did, which was like now
Yeah.
there's like literally in all these scenes they could what you would do is like here comes Sulu and it's like well here's all these aliens just walking down the corridor like like look this the Enterprise is full of aliens and it's like
Mhm.
I don't know it's just like you don't
Cool.
have to do all that
Yeah.
it's like
It doesn't add to the scene. It doesn't add to the story.
right.
Yeah, I know.
I like the fact that they try. And honestly, there's some like creatures and ships and some things in the show that like for me as a 80s 90s kid like watching it you're like that thing looks really stupid but back then for those fans it looks great but they don't change it they don't
Yeah.
change they just make it look more seamless. There's like a thing in one of the I could probably find it there's like a ship or like a weird entity in space and it's literally like a box with like lights on it and it's just spinning and that's all it is and it's like oh look at this crazy thing and it it's you can tell it's a box with like lights on it spinning but in the
Yeah.
remastered thing they take like the light effect and like kind of like bleed it out more so that it looks more like orby kind of like and just more weird but they don't like overall they don't really change what it looked like they just made it they just you don't see like those hard edges of the thing spinning and it looks less like somebody just plugged lights into a thing and it's more like
Yeah.
mechanical looking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
so you get to see Scotty here with his traditional I just can't do it.
Yeah. I can't do it.
The funny thing is when we get there a lot of the Scotty that like everybody mimics and talks about is like the
Yeah.
movie Scotty and like the
Yeah.
TV show Scotty is like a little he's not like terribly different but he's just a little different. He's a little more he's a little more serious when he's not drinking basically. He drinks a lot in the original series.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. All right, we are almost at the end. So go down to the comment section and write the word
Scotty.
Scotty. A cold restart with controlled matter antimatter implosion and balanced engines is possible, but requires Spock's attention. Meanwhile, McCoy has discovered a cure for the affliction after administering it to Sulu. They're figuring it out. I like that, but there's a scene where he gives the McCoy gives the shot to Sulu, and Sulu's like,
Mhm.
"Yeah!" He screams, and he's just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
where am I? Why am I here?" And then they're like, "Okay," and now he's trying. McCoy knows he has to go and like get administer it to like everybody.
Yeah.
And so Sulu's like, right as there's like a scene where Sulu's off camera and McCoy is like walking out the door. You hear Sulu say, he's like, "Hey Doc, if I'm okay, can I get out of here?" And McCoy's like, "Release him," or whatever. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he walks out the door.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I picked up on that. Yeah, that's funny. Is it this? No, it's later. Maybe it's during this where um he calls down to like the synthesize station and
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh yeah.
it works, make more product,
And
make
he's
more product. And they're
laughing.
like, what?
Yeah, it's definitely that's why he's leaving the sick
Yeah,
bay.
right.
Yeah.
So that's why he goes down there.
Yeah.
But then it's funny too. It's like because even like later on you'll talk about it, but like when Kirk comes back on the bridge, McCoy's just kind of like behind
Oh.
the door and he just goes. It's just like he's just going around and like injecting people with this like serum, you know.
And
Oh
he's
man, it's
hiding
pretty
and just getting them. Yeah.
yeah.
So Kirk finds his first officer in anguished reflection, regretting his inability to express love even for his mother. Kirk slaps him in the face hard, and Spock admits to feeling shame over his friendship with the captain. Struck again, he responds in kind, sending Kirk backwards over a table, infecting
Yeah.
him.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
I love that the first slap. You think like, okay, that'll knock him out, and he's like,
Yeah.
"You don't get it. You don't get it, Kirk. Even you. I can't even say to you, my friend." I think even after he hits him across the room, he says something again like,
Yeah. The shame. The shame. Kirk goes well over that table into the chair, too. He's like,
he
whoa.
does, dude. Yeah, he really committed.
Here's the part where we talk about what we talked about a couple episodes ago, where like why does I think it was last time's episode we talked about why does Kirk see an age appropriate Nancy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's because of what we learned right here. Kirk haltingly advises Spock that he's better off without love, and rhapsodizes over his great affair, the Enterprise, and the price she exacts. Kirk suddenly shouts and admits, "I have a beautiful yeoman." Self awareness. Self awareness returns to Spock, who proceeds to help Scott with the restart. Kirk finds the strength to return to the bridge with quiet words to his ship. "Never lose you. Never." Entering the turbo lift and heading to the bridge, Kirk sees "Sinner, repent" painted on the inner door. Seeing
Yeah.
this, he wipes away blood from the corner of his mouth.
Mm. Yeah, I like this. Even earlier too, when like Spock is like trying to fight his like
Mm,
emotions in the hallway.
yeah.
He's like, I'm in control. I'm in control. And then he goes into that room and he like immediately like oh god. I was like, wow, he's not doing so good.
He's not doing so good, is he? No. Yeah, it said one thing. The environmental suits were made out of shower curtains.
Mm. Those are pretty nasty shower curtains.
This is the crazy thing. I didn't even realize it. So this is the only episode, the TOS episode, in which the three primary female crew members, Uhura, Chapel, and Yeoman Rand, there
Yeah.
Appear together in the same episode.
Really?
Yep. So this is the only episode that they're in. All three of them are in the
Wow.
episode at the same time.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeoman Rand is like a thing from the series, and she shows up here and there. She's not super um she's not like super frequent in the series, but I don't know. Everybody remembers her. She's not like in every episode.
You
But
think though she'd be on like every scene that's in the bridge.
yeah. Yeah. Nope.
Chapel's always in the
Yeah. Sick bay.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
So two of them you would see on the bridge like every time there's bridge scenes. And the other one's always in medical, which like they're always in medical.
Yeah.
So that is pretty interesting.
It is. Entering the bridge, Kirk's uniform is ripped by McCoy, who administers the antidote to the captain. Kirk's taking the center seat. Kirk's orders are muddled, but a cured Sulu is able to plot the escape from orbit. With a hesitating reach, Kirk longs for his beautiful yeoman Rand, standing next to him, whom he can't touch but for duty. I have no idea. Spock and Scott finish preparations, and the restart is engaged. The implosion is successful, with an unexpected result, sending the Enterprise 3 days back in time. Perhaps deciding not to return to Psi 2000, Kirk orders a course ahead. Warp factor 1.
No, this time, don't scratch your nose.
Yeah. Well, we're not going back.
So is that guy alive now?
I think they were like in a time bubble and they go back in time, but it's like the concept of like Marty McFly going back in time. He doesn't like de-age. He's protected inside the time bubble.
The universe is in a different time. They're in the same time.
But there's Kirk getting his uniform ripped for no reason at all.
Well, he had to get the medicine injected into his arm.
Didn't want those tunic fabric threads that get in the way.
No. He definitely couldn't just do his neck either.
No. So that concludes The Naked Time. That's how the episode ends. It ends in the most weirdest way possible, where it's like, oh, these people their inhibitions are stripped and they're acting crazy and weird, and it's kind of silly episode, and then it ends. It's like, we can time travel.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It wasn't even like, hey, so what was that stuff? Like, it doesn't matter.
Look what we can do.
We know how to travel through time.
So let's get to it. Your favorite part of the episode, everyone. Let's talk about what Caleb thought of The Naked Time.
Caleb.
Okay, so who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being most unlikable?
The guy that was singing the whole episode.
Oh, yeah, Lieutenant Riley. Yeah.
Yeah, really not a fan. Even like at first when he was like, oh, maybe it's just because he wasn't Irish enough. It's like, oh, okay. And then he starts singing and you're just like, okay, somebody needs to like get rid of this guy. Yeah, he got old pretty quick.
So who gets the Elizabeth Cutler Award as being most forgettable?
The guy that itched his nose.
Oh.
Yeah, he ruined everything.
He ruined everything and then nobody cared, right?
No, nobody cared. Because even last week, right, where
the
last episode where like people died on the Enterprise and Kirk was like mad about it, right? He's like, I'm losing men.
Yeah.
And now this episode, he's like, he should be walking around. I don't understand why he's dead. And Kirk's like, oh, well, I'm going back to the bridge now. Well, down another one. Prepare another body bag. Like he didn't even care about it. So if Kirk doesn't care, I don't care.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah, that's my motto.
Who gets the Trip Tucker Award as being the MVP?
Probably McCoy.
Ooh, okay.
Right? I mean, he's the one that fixed it, right? I mean,
yeah, sure.
Without Dr. McCoy, everybody would have, the Star Enterprise would have blown up.
That's true. That's very true.
They all would have been showering with their clothes on. That's the thing too. So going back to the very beginning, when they're like all these people are like frozen at their stations and stuff.
Yeah,
you're like led to believe that like they were just being like the true essence of their personality and like just like not working, and
Yeah,
that's what led everything to like being bad.
yeah,
So the guy in the shower, he just like his true essence of his personality was he hated being like naked.
yeah,
So he's like, oh, I'm gonna shower with my clothes on.
yeah. It could have been a thing too where he was having just enough, like he was kind of coming to, and he thought like the sweat was making him
Oh,
sick. So he was like washing himself, but like he's delusional, so he doesn't take his clothes off, type of thing. Because clearly
yeah,
he's like they're in the like clearly he was in the middle of showering and like things froze. So it's like it must have happened pretty rapidly.
yeah, right, right. I assume somebody went crazy and like opened the door to like the outside space and
Must have been something, yeah. It was like an ice planet, so it must have been. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
So, what gets the Shran Award for being the best action sequence?
I like when Spock hits Kirk across the table.
Ooh, all right, yeah,
Pretty good one.
yeah,
Like
that's a good
anytime they
one.
show off like Spock's like true strength, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And William Shatner like went all into that scene. He like really
yeah.
didn't hold back, you know.
Nope, nope. He knew he had to sell his like triple a man's strength.
It's a
Right.
hard thing to do, like when you know you're going to get hurt, but you have to be like, all right, I'm gonna throw myself against this thing. And three, two, one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What gets the NX award for some sweet ship stuff?
I like seeing the food synthesizer again.
Ooh. They
Yeah.
did
I'm
they
always
did note they did notate on that page that it is the only time I think that a puff of smoke is shown from the food synthesizer.
wow.
You know,
What did he get? Do you remember what he got?
it's kind of like the thing that Kirk had an episode ago when he's eating the.
Different color Cheetos?
Yeah, it's kind of like that on the plate.
Is it really?
Kind of. It's not like it's like a mixture of like a stew looking thing and the thing that
Oh.
like Kirk ate.
Oh. Wow, okay. Yeah, weird.
But when he pulls it out, it's like covered, so I don't think it. So I'll have to find that clip.
Let's see. It's funny that's the only time they showed like smoke coming out of that.
Yeah, puff of smoke, yeah, or steam.
Yeah, I always like seeing the tech, like technology, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Food synthesizer is pretty cool. I wish we had that
yeah.
technology.
Oh man, tell me about it.
It'd be pretty sweet. Even if it was like, just awful fake stuff you like recreated from matter, you know.
Yeah, who or what gets the Porthos Award as being the cheesiest?
I'm gonna go with Chapel's undying love for Spock. She's like, oh, hold me, Spock, hold me. And he's like, no, I don't even like humans. And then he's walking down
Yeah.
the hallway. And he's like, eh, ah, don't go back. Don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I,
He's really trying to force himself to go back to work, you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't love. I love her. I don't love her.
Yeah. I'm gonna kiss it. I'm gonna kiss it.
And I kiss it.
I'm gonna kiss it. I'm
I
not gonna
can't
kiss
kiss her. I
it. I
can't
can't.
kiss.
I have to work. And I'm an alien. Hey, perhaps one
Yeah.
kiss. Perhaps one. No. No, I have to work. But on the second thought, just like it just kept going. I was like, okay, we get
Uh,
it. We got it.
you doing that makes me think of Master Roshi, like he's trying to keep composure, right? And then he's like, Maybe just
Hey,
one.
but perhaps we could, take a walk around my island. Yeah.
No.
No.
Maybe just a kiss. Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that. I like you're hitting me with a Master Roshi reference. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jackie Chan's better.
Jackie Chan, don't you dare talk about
You make me look like a fool.
So what gets the Enterprise Award as being the best scene of the episode?
Kirk getting his shirt ripped.
Oh,
my
no.
favorite. It's my favorite scene of the episode.
Oh. I thought it was gonna be Sulu with the fencing foil, but no,
I do really like that, but that's just too on the nose.
it is too on the nose.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
always
true.
be anytime Kirk gets his shirt ripped. I mean, that's just moving forward. Just so you know, that's always going to be.
Anytime you get your shirt ripped, you're like, oh, that's
That's the best part of the episode. It's over.
yeah. When it's anything where it ends, anywhere the best scene in the episode is right before the credits start.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Na, 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 na. So that is what Caleb thought of the episode.
Yeah.
So go down into the comment section below and write what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you thought about Sulu and Kirk and all the boys and girls getting naked. So
Nobody even got naked.
No, just like partially naked.
Yeah. That guy in the shower didn't even get naked.
That's true.
What a bad named episode.
A lot of missing nudity for an episode called Naked Time.
Yeah. Like, what's up with that?
Probably just a 60s thing to be like, oh my goodness, it's called Naked.
Oh, no. I can't watch this.
I can't watch this.
This is bad.
Shirtless Japanese man.
Oh, no. Get it off my black and white television set immediately.
So, next week's episode is going to be a good one. So, come make sure that you watch it. Because next week's episode is The Balance of Terror.
Oh, really?
It is.
I keep hearing about this episode.
You have heard about The Balance of Terror.
And I've also maybe seen this in a different time period.
I'm not sure.
Oh, perhaps I've seen a recreation of this episode.
Maybe.
No. I sure hope nobody gets married.
Nope.
Okay, good. Very good.
Very good.
Very good, sir. Very good.
So that's next week. Balance of Terror. Look for it. So if you liked this episode, like it. If you dislike this episode, dislike it. If you want to make sure all of your Star Trek friends know about it, share it with them. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode and ring that bell for notifications, especially for next week's episode. And if you're listening to this on some sort of podcast app, just make sure to rate and review, do all the fun stuff, let your friends know about it. And before we conclude out, send it over to Caleb, and Caleb can talk about anything that's happening on his channel.
Oh boy. Our episode 4 of our Dragon Ball rewatch cast, finishing up the tournament saga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming out on the 19th. And if you like watching me answer stupid questions, then that episode you'll get to watch Will answer some stupid questions. Yeah. And then what else?
Perhaps I make a wish.
No, you don't make any wishes.
Oh, okay.
And as far as like prop building on my channel, recently I made the sticking on theme with Dragon Ball I made the Dragon Ball radar. It's very cool.
It lights up.
It lights up. And you should definitely go make it.
Make it.
Or
Do
buy
it.
And there's some other stuff. The Nerd Holes have got some other episodes kind of in the works.
Mm-hmm.
We most recently we just put out our what did we just do? We just did something. Andor. Yeah, that's right. So if you don't like Star Trek and you're watching this to this point, I don't know what's wrong with you, but we're doing Star Wars at my channel.
That's right. So yeah,
And
his Dragon Ball episode should come out about 2. Ooh.
Not yet. This is going out on a very specific date.
Oh yes.
That Will
yes.
told me. What was that date again? So I remember.
Oh gosh, it's like October or something. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
What could that possibly be?
It's nothing. You saw nothing. You saw nothing.
Yeah, his Dragon Ball, our Dragon Ball, video will come out a couple days after this episode airs. So look for it on his channel in a couple days.
Yeah, it's Tuesday, right?
I think so. That sounds right. Look for a cool episode on October 17th.
What could it be?
What could it be? Not on my channel, on his channel.
Even I don't know. Even I'm curious. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the Retrek review. Now go get naked and computer and program.
See you guys.
The Retrek Review is a Daystrom Holodeck podcast produced in association with the Plastic Underground Props. Hosted by Caleb Stoddard and Will Wilbur. Edited by Will Wilbur. Our intro song is by Kaylee Joy Rookledge. Our theme song is by Samo Studios. And our outro song is by Tommy T. Title card art created by Caleb Stoddard. Trophy art created by Adri Wilbur of Love by the Letters. Synopsis and written plot provided by memory-alpha.fandom.com. Star Trek is created by Gene Roddenberry, and all official clips and pictures are owned by Paramount Pictures. You can follow us at the Plastic Underground Props and the Daystrom Holodeck on Instagram and on YouTube. Thanks for watching.